in the U.S., we used to have a so-called objective press.
Mm-hmm.
But with things falling apart so dramatically, each, the what I call extreme left or extreme right has its own press that covers for it. And if you look at the left, extreme left has a press that covers for it. Mm. So when we move toward service and authenticity, we cannot pass along lies. Passing along lies, even if we don't know any. Even if we don't know any better and we're too lazy to really keep up with what's going on ourselves, if we pass along a lie, all liberals are bad, all conservatives are bad, evil, trying to destroy the world. We have to stop them from destroying the world. Both sides say that. The extreme left and the extreme right, they have this lie, essentially, is that everybody on the other side are demons and they're trying to destroy the world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I could see that, trying to create objects on the other side.
Yes. Dehumanize the opposition. Mm-hmm. Okay. Both sides did that. They're trying to in the U.S., they were, the whole right wing the whole apparatus was to dehumanize Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. And his whole apparatus, well, I won't say him, but I say his extreme left supporters are trying to demonize Mitt Romney. Mm-hmm. Now, regardless of where you stand, left or right, whichever issues, it's important that we go enlightened with this, so that you make sure you're not passing on a lie. Mm-hmm. And that you move, and that as soon as you say, I'm not going to pass along a lie, you move to a more center left or right. Mm-hmm. And of course, most extremes say, well, the center is just uninformed. If they really knew what we knew, they would act like us. But in terms of spirituality, in my view, we can prove to ourselves that once you start to observe and be cognizant of both sides' extremes and lies, then you have to move to the center, so you can have a debate with someone about the key way, practical way to deal with an issue. But it's a real debate where mm-hmm. both people are looking for the truth and saying what the best truth they can say to the other person. They don't just manufacture lies to make the other side look bad. So we, in order to stay in this journey that I'm talking about, we absolutely have to become an authentic person who, if we don't know, we say we don't know. If we try to be helpful to everybody, including the people on the other side of us, and if we do that, move to the truth, give up ideology. The extreme left and right are just ideologues. Mm-hmm. They don't fact check. They don't do any fairness in terms of what they say about the other side. They're just ideologues, which means they're just all liars.
Mm-hmm. And James, when you offer a truth, it automatically offers an invitation from the other side to step in and join you.
That's right. So, we're in the logjam we're in the U.S. And listen, it's not just the U.S. Everywhere. I've just been in Argentina. The same thing's happening there. Every time I go to Europe, it's the people don't know what to believe because the press has chosen sides. Mm-hmm. What we've got to do is to get this world stable is to move toward a practical, what I call an enlightened, moderate, problem-solving approach to everything. And that includes, in a big way, money. Because money is just a measure of your karma. Mm-hmm. I mean, this whole crash was crashed because of bad karma, with people spending more than they had coming in, both governments and individuals and corporations, colluding with certain groups to give you special favors by government to bring you more money. All those things is what has, it crashed out of its own greed. essentially. And we can talk at length about the financial crash, and I think people can again understand that from a spiritual point of view. But here we are at the individual level. We're just trying to get into a space where life works and it's easier, and that means getting in alignment with the karma service, and then not passing along manipulations of one kind or another. In other words, if we just, if we buy into the talking points of the far left or right, and then we talk to people about that, we may think it's the truth, but it's not the truth. So what we have to do is back up and clean up all of our knowledge about the larger picture of this transition, and get in and keep our alignment pure by transcending ideology and transcending inauthenticity of any kind. In other words, if we're thinking something and not saying it to the other person, it means that we have a hidden agenda. So the hidden agenda is the measure in terms of us as individuals.
No, I was thinking that how powerful if I'm thinking of something and I haven't shared it with you, and I make a decision, active decision, conscious decision to share something with you in the form of a question. How powerful would that question then become without having an intention to hurt? I guess the intention is very important here, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can say you're being of service, but if it's really to get your enemies back by the way you try to do it, or showing people up, or any of those things, I mean, you're not being of service, really. You're just making your ego feel good.
Well, it probably feels good for a while.
Yeah,
until it comes back and bites you.
Yeah, I mean, if you think, I'm going to help this person with their diet, they don't seem to be eating very well, I'm going to help this person, and you start off by calling them fat because it makes you feel better about not being fat. As a need for self-esteem and some, you see all the tangles here. We've got to find an authentic way of service. We have to do it out with love. And listen, this is the next insight. The 1 through 4 is very much a rational understanding in some ways. People can do it though without this. It's always going to be in service of the ego until they have what the mystics call a spiritual breakthrough, which is our fifth step.
So the fifth insight is the spiritual breakthrough, a mystical experience.
That's correct. And now, we all have these little epiphanies, in the sunset or on the beach or whatever, and it just somehow we feel connected to all things.
Yeah.
Well, that's the entry point. And it's the broadening of that is what that fuels this opening up. And it really feels like the ego finally has said, okay, I don't know, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to become part of the divinity of this world and the divinity in the rest of me. And this is a download experience.
Oh, I like the way that sounds. It's very straightforward. Downloading. Oh
yeah, you suddenly become more than you thought you were because your ego was defining all that, and then the ego relaxes, and you get your self-esteem spiritually, not in interaction with other people.
So it's nothing that you're doing. It's you're relaxing. You're letting go.
You're letting go, and that's when it happens. And we have to practice that. That's why so many people, do guided movements or meditations or active prayer or even exercise can relax the ego and get you into your higher self. So all the ways that people have learned over these last decades to do, we have to discover one of them and practice. And I believe that we can prove to ourselves if we have a practice of opening up to this greater self, then we begin to expand dramatically. And what comes into us are this knowingness. Now, this is the same knowingness we were asking for when we're trying to be a synchronicity to another person, because it's that chiefly the right brain that deals with this area, where it's not about rational thought, it's about listening to guidance, listening to the intelligence that comes from our higher self. And here it's very important to realize that that's not always words, it's hunches, gut feelings. But is always can be seen as something, an impulse to do something. Now, if it's one of our fetishes or bad habits or whatever from the ego, we have to separate those two. The ego, when it feels scared, it wants to do something that takes that away. And so we all have something that we're addicted to. That's an addiction, a substitute for spiritual consciousness. So we obsess on sports or shopping, or obsess on news, or obsess on being an ideologue, and saving the world, or whatever it is we're obsessing on. That's an ego phenomenon. It's important that we realize that that there's another side of us, another knowingness that can come in, and just affirm that with gratitude. And here's where, we sometimes this is age related. It's hard to do that before 30. It's hard to get to that place. So we have to sort of bide our time and go with the flow best we can until we turn 30. 30 is an very key astrological growth step that's sort of built into our brains, I believe. After that, 38 is a key one, and then of course 60. But we have to be patient, is what I think I'm conveying here about this fifth insight. This is dancing with the masters. This is doing things that take us out of our ego's sort of regimentation to feel safe, and we just have to do that and practice it. And the more we practice it, the more this knowing side comes in. And in moments of, when I have an audience and I ask, okay, how many of you have had a profound spiritual moment where you seem to blow everything and you understood more about life and your own life and what you should do? And, usually about half the audience, of course, I have a biased audience, right? I mean, they come to see me to talk about that kind of stuff. But I believe more and more people every day actually have the full download. Now, what happens during the full download, and people should expect this, is this moment where all of a sudden we get hit by this inspiration, and the emotion of it is love.
Yeah.
And sometimes people feel love realizing they'd never really experienced love before. And it's a coming home, receiving our spiritual intelligence, receiving the rest of our personality and self. It's transforming, and it's in its moment. Now, we don't always hang on to it. Sometimes it goes away when we wake up the next morning, and we have to just then do the attitude change that we've been discussing here, and it just grows on itself.
And I guess that's really kind of important, too, is to realize that this is an experience. And to trust in our experiences. Yeah,
this is not a doctrine. Nothing is any good about the rational way we're describing this unless we have an experience that goes along with it. And but people, it's easier to have that experience than ever before because it's contagious and more people are doing it.
And so that brings us to the sixth insight, which is clearing the past.
Yes. Clearing the past and envision the future.
And envision the future.
Yeah, because you know, it's the discovery of freedom, and you know, we get to the, you know, the